married. I've been married for 16 years. I have 4 boys. My oldest boy is in the military. He's in the Marine Corps. He's currently stationed at Camp Pendleton. He followed in my steps as I was in the Marine Corps myself. I was appointed to the City Council by unanimous appointment back in March of 2018. Currently I am the chairman of the Public Safety Committee and I'm co-chairman of the City Beautification Committee. Things that I've done while I'm on the council has been, one of my accomplishments is the Animal Control and Pet Responsibility Act. This is to help us try and control the overpopulation of animals that we all see running around all parts of Coalinga all the time. There's something that we have to do about that, and hopefully this will help address it in some way. One of the things that goes along with that is if your dog gets out 3 times, you will be forced to get it neutered and spayed and also microchipped. Further on that, you will also have to have a permit required to sell animals. And just to let you guys know, I lived in a 3-month span, and there were 105 animals listed in Coalinga social media over that time for sale or to give away. Okay, when it comes to public safety, I'm a very big advocate of public safety, or police, and the fire department. And the way in today's world, we're having to deal with Prop 47, Prop 57, AB 109, and now SB 10. And we have to come up with different ways on how we're going to fight crime. One of the things that I proposed was the eviction program for drug and gang-related crimes. So basically, if you have a gang member who becomes a nuisance here in the city of the city of Coalinga, the police department will have the ability to evict them from their rental property, provided that we go through a certain process. And it's a long process. You can look it up. It's public information. It goes the same way with drug dealers and so on.
Thank you, Adam Atkinson. Thank you very much.
And a little bit about myself. Work at Pleasant Valley State Prison. Been at CDC for about 24 years. My wife is a school teacher, or teacher's aide at the middle school. We got 2 kids, Malik and Manaya. And being CDC, I'm definitely pro law enforcement. And I feel that's what we need to get a handle on, our firefighters, just like Adam said, and our PD, in order to curb all the gang violence and the craziness that's going on here. And in my life, you have 2 choices. You can either be reactive or proactive. So for me, I think it's time for me to step up and see what we can do to accomplish this right here.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm the current mayor of Coalinga, Nathan Vosberg. I currently work at the library as their IT analyst and CEO of Vosberg Technology Center. My wife works for the school, has a master's in English, teaches continuation. My boys both attend public schools here. One is working on his Eagle Scout and the other plays football with Pee-wees. I'm completely invested in this community. I have a large Hispanic and Caucasian mix of family members that surround me, allowing me to see many different aspects and diversity of this town. When I first ran, I ran on fighting crime, community events, new revenue, transparency, and education, and being business friendly. With the current council, we created a neighborhood watch program that uses apps and neighbors to fight crime. We have upgraded the PD internet, the record system, along with body cameras and future cameras for future monitoring. We also created an ambassador program that allows us to have volunteers to do code enforcement. I led the charge of council passing ordinance for allowing food trucks, a farmer's market, regulating pigs and chickens, food truck night, got rid of garage sale permits at the city, and helped start the National Night Out program. Between councils, we have brought in more than $7 million to our local economy, wiping out a $4.1 million debt via the cannabis industry and provided many jobs and opportunity for this town. I have also authorized a resolution called Transparency and Accountability Act that allows the city to have a transparency committee that includes members of the public and staff to watch over the funds for transparency. It was my agenda item to create economic development policies that allow for the waiver of city business licenses and new businesses that have created a whopping 168 new businesses in this town, which is the last time of this report, 58 of them renewed. It's very important on who you vote for this election. We need people in charge that have leadership, knowledge, and experience moving forward. We need to keep the continuity of government and guarantee success. Thank you very much. I see the city in 5 years. I see this city in 5 years growing. I see our businesses moving in. I see our population getting bigger. Reason is, things can't get worse than they are now. So, we've been doing a lot with the cannabis industry. We've been doing a lot to try and revive the hospital. We've been doing a lot to revive our public service. We've had a lot of different agencies that have come and gone. We've had a lot of new businesses and new lot of mom and pops that have come forward. And I just want to say that I've been hearing for this entire time people stating that we need to bring someone in to save Coalinga. Well, guess what? We have everything to save Coalinga right here. All we have to do is mobilize, monetize, and be committed to our own community, and we can do whatever it takes to get this done, and I plan on helping to do that. Thank you.
For me, in 5 years, at the rate we're going down, I have a different vision of how I see Coalinga. Because if we don't take care of our core, our PD, our fire, since we don't have a hospital, Coalinga's not going to be here. Because if our fire department, EMS leaves, what's left? If our PD don't get the funding that they need along with fire, it's just not going to happen. I mean, we can hope and pray, but we should be past that part right now. We should be doing it. Because once they leave, the reality, where's our medical going to come from? We don't have a hospital, we count on them. And everybody in this room at one time or another may need them. Hopefully we never do, but when you need them, you know that they'll be there. But at the rate we're going with them, I don't foresee them staying. I can't be mad at them because the money that they're not receiving, if all those businesses are here, then they shouldn't have the situation that they're in now. And the PD should be at full force. And neither one of them has happened. So in 5 years at this rate, we're going to be way under.
In 5 years and even sooner, I see us completely out of debt. I also see moderate economic growth here in the city. We have several buildings that are just being built, getting ready to start their business. We've got Claremont up and going. We have some businesses out in Juniper Ridge that are going to be going up. We have a couple more that are getting ready to be built, and we're going to start bringing in more revenue. We're going to be stable economically. We'll be able to hopefully get the raises that our fire and police need, and we'll hopefully get a third ambulance as well. Hopefully we'll also have a population increase in between now and then, and we will also be able to see if the Air Cargo Port will be building here in Coalinga, which will be huge, and possibly bring in all 5,000 tons.
The question comes in, what is the status of all the drug money the city is supposed to have from the recent sale of the and that is only the beginning of the
All right.
1 minute, please.
So,
You may
first off, what has cannabis done to the city? The RDA sales brought in $3.35 million from RDA sales. The city obtained about $800,000 of that. The rest of it was split up in between the agencies. And a lot of it hasn't been divvied out yet, but it's on the way. So the school's getting money, about $800,000 or $900,000. The college is going to get $600,000 or $700,000. The library is going to get like $70,000 or $80,000. All of these different entities, including Fresno County, I think is getting almost $1 million out of this. So where did the money go? So here's the dealio. First thing is the city, what the city did was we paid $4.1 million in debt with the Claremont sale. That was the very first thing we did. This had to be paid because no one wants to start a business in a city that's in debt. You can't get good people to work for you when you're in debt because of the potential for cuts to be made. And cities that are in debt do not operate from a position of power, but from a position of weakness. This is a baseline that must be met when we're starting over. And so the money is all accounted for. You know, if you take the it comes out to about $7.35 million that we brought in. $3.35 million of it went to all the different agencies, including the city of Coalinga, getting about $807,000, and then the $4.1 million went to pay off the debt. So anything other than that is why we're still in the situation that we're in. We made cuts because Measure C didn't pass, you know, and so this year we're $807,000 negative in the hole, but that's a lot better than $4.1 million in the hole. So where would we be at without that money? I think we'd be talking about bankruptcy. So with that money, we've had the upgrade to the computer systems of the PD. We've had 60 or 70 people hired at Claremont. We have construction jobs coming up all over the place. I don't know if you guys have seen that big green building coming outside, but they should be up by November. Thank you very much.
So in fiscal year 2015, we were over $4 million in debt, or right around there. Since that time, we have brought our debt down to $266,000. That's a 94% decrease in debt in just 4 fiscal years. So a lot of that money that you hear about that was sold, the money that we got from selling lands, that's where it's gone. The city of Coalinga got about 25% of the sale from the Juniper Ridge area, and that ended up being $858,000. And the school district was able to get $670,000 out of it. Now, over the last couple of years, we've had taxes and licenses and fees that the cannabis industry has paid to Coalinga. And year to date, since fiscal year 2017, we have received $591,622. Now, we have paid off a lot of debt. Let me say that again. We have paid off 94% of our debt in a very short amount of time. Thank you.
Another question that came in that kind of follows along that same line is, what things will you do as city council members to promote a safe, drug-free environment for our youth?
Well, let's all be honest. It all starts at home, doesn't it? We all need to start at home if we want to have a drug-free, if we want our kids to be drug-free. If you can't do it at home, if you're not paying attention to your kids, then they're going to go out and do what they want to do. So start at home. Raise your kids the way you want them to be raised, and they'll follow the way you want them to go. I think it's that easy. I think this country has a serious parenting crisis, and that's why we see all the things we see today. So talk to your kids. Let them know what they can and can't do, what they should and shouldn't do. And as long as you're on all the time, they'll follow. Thanks.
I agree in some way that it does start at home, but it also starts here because, as the old saying says, it takes a community or a village to raise a child because nowadays most parents are working. So if you see my kid doing something wrong, get him. I will never say leave my kid alone because my wife and I are not always there. We both work at different times. So it's the community that has to get involved with raising the kids. But it does start at home, but it ends where else? Out in the streets or in schools because it happens there. Other kids are pressuring and whatnot, but it's beautiful to communicate and have communication with your child. I agree, but also with the community is watching also, eyes are everywhere. Because I guarantee you, if my son's doing something wrong and you stop and say, I'm going to tell your dad, I guarantee you Malik will lock it up and go home. That's what he does not want to happen. So it has to be a total involvement. I can't see his son doing something wrong and step back and that's not my kid because that's hurting the community along with his kid. And you want to see every kid do well, no matter what. So I think it's a little bit of both, at home and in the community.
All right, so I think drug problems stem from lack of opportunity. We've had a drug war in this country for a long time that's focused on very interesting drugs, and they have allowed opioids to get completely out of hand. They've allowed alcohol and cigarettes. And let's talk about sugar. It kills more people every single year than every single drug combined. Sugar, right? So I agree it starts at home. I also agree that it takes a community. So I think we need to start having schools and the nonprofit groups promote these type of anti-drug policies. And where we can get people to promote that is the people that are in this room. We can all start off by doing that. We can get the cannabis companies involved. They're willing to get involved in the anti-drug thing. I know it sounds weird, right? Why would cannabis companies be getting involved in anti-drug? Well, because they care about our community as well. Everyone that lives here cares about our community. No one wants to see kids fall to drugs. No one wants to see people addicted to drugs and doing bad things with it, because that stems into property crime, it stems into domestic violence, it stems into lots of different things. But I think it all stems from lack of opportunity. So we got to get some jobs and some businesses here. We got to fix what we have going on so people aren't so depressed. And once we fix that, we can bring our people up as a whole. And I think that's how we attack this. Thank you.
What will you do to promote a safe and drug-free environment for our youth?
Well, I do not agree with drug activity.
Speak
I've
right
been
now.
informed. I agree with these gentlemen that it takes a village. Fortunately enough, I was able to raise my family in Coalinga, and the village did help me. And my kids did not go astray or get into drugs or gangs. So I'm very blessed for that. But in the last several years, I've seen a decline in our city, where our community is no longer involved, where our community rather close the doors and close a blind eye to what's going on for fear of retaliation or attack. I don't believe in a community that tells our kids not to do one thing but puts marijuana on the corner downtown that they have to pass each day. I don't think that's being part of the solution. I think it's being part of a problem, and I'm not interested in it.
Thank you. This is another question open to any of the candidates. With the new business coming in and trying to promote new business, what are your plans for that? To bring in even larger stores such as maybe Walmarts or department stores, things that will better our community?
We have tried in certain ways to try and bring in some of these larger stores, but the problem is that we have a population problem. Our population is quite small, and we don't have a big enough population to sustain a place such as Walmart. We are working with the Fresno EDC to try and bring in other businesses into town. We are working with them to come up with marketing material to give out to corporations who may be interested. I know they tried PDs, but they said our population isn't big enough. We tried another one, but they said that they were going bankrupt, so that won't work. So we need to continue working with the Fresno EDC. We also need to let them know about various places where businesses can go, and hopefully that they can capitalize on those places.
So it's going to take some out-of-the-box thinking, just like we did to pull us out of debt. And we spent the last 4 years doing that. And so now we need more time. As the city government runs extremely slow, I don't know if anyone has figured that out yet. We can't get, first you have to talk about it, then you have to talk about why you're talking about it, and that takes a lot of time. And it's unfortunate, but we do have laws, Brown Act, and stuff like that to go through. But as far as bringing in new businesses, we do have a population problem. When we're talking about bringing in someone that's going to be retail, it doesn't pencil in for that. We've tried to explain this to the community over and over again, and you know, I actually run a business in town, and I haven't taken a paycheck all year long, and it stems from a bunch of different reasons. One, people don't shop local, and two, the reason people don't shop local is because there's not enough stuff for them to buy local. So I actually have a really good plan, and it all stems from a meme that I've seen, and the meme says, Grandma survived the Great Depression because she shopped local. Has a picture of her garden, that's where she shopped at. And she was prepared. And so guess what? We're going to have to build our garden. We're going to have to start shopping local. We have all the utilities to do it here. We have a college, we have a great high school, we have a police, we have a fire, we have a hospital building. So as I see it, we start training our own people, and instead of trying to worry about somebody else to save us, because that's not happening, I'm telling you, and if you're going to depend on 5 council members, doesn't matter who they are, we've been through this for 20 plus years. In like 20 years, we've lost 22 city managers. When the council gets blamed, the city manager gets to go. And so we got to stop doing that first off, because we need continuity of government so that we can make those relationships and have people trust us, because trust is what brings people in. Thank you.
The question was, what would you do to promote new business in Coalinga? Bring in larger stores, department stores such as Walmart, etc.
I don't know if that's any longer possible. With the EDCU that did come out, they spoke of millennial, I think the word was, of the youth, that how people are shopping nowadays, they prefer things like Amazon and things of that nature. What I do believe for this city is this, that without unity And without a solid foundation, there's nothing that's going to come here, except for maybe marijuana. If somebody's looking to come to this community and they say, well, take me for a ride around town, let's go check it out and see what you guys have to offer. Gee, my kids have asthma. Do you have a hospital? No, you got to drive to Hanford for that. How's your school system? Well, we don't hear good things about that either. What about your city? What's going on there? I feel that Coalinga, we somehow lost track and we are no longer united. I think our big players in this community, our college, our school district, our hospital, we had it, and our city, all need to support each other to create a solid foundation, to bring people here, to give them a reason to want to come here. At this time, I don't believe that's what's happening. So the answer is, I would promote unity, and I would promote partnership with the people that matter in this community.
So, fortunately, and unfortunately for some, because I know we don't all agree, this plan was started about 3 years ago about how we're going to grow, and it was going to be to have the cannabis industry come in because nobody else was knocking down our doors. We hired someone to try and sell Carmine. That was in the mix for about 2 years, and no one wanted to come. We've reached out to Walmart, we've reached out to Target, we've reached out to all these people. We hired an economic development person to try and do that. We have the EDC with us. I think there's a misconception that whether or not we're trying. We are. We're going out there and we're trying to get this stuff started, but if it doesn't pencil in, if you take the populations of 8,000 for Carolina, you take the populations of 13,300 for Coalinga, not counting the people from the prison that were missing, which probably puts us underneath 10,000. And then you take the population of Avenel, that's not even 40,000. And that's people driving back and forth. These retailers are pretty smart. Now, how do we fix this problem? Is we bring in people. We have to get a population. So the air cargo port is a great idea. Utilizing the things that we have here, which has been one of my goals from day one. Now, every time we come up with an idea and we say, hey, this is a great idea, we always get told why we can't do it. Literally, the federal government, the state of California, they tell us why we can't do things. I was hearing there was a cargo port that was going to try and come here 30 years ago, and we were told no, we couldn't do it. Well, this time, we partnered up with our congressional and our senators and said, hey, this is what's going on ahead of time. If we get any flack, you know, we need some help. And both David Valdeo and Joaquin Arambula have both said that if there's anything going on like that, that they will try and help us. And so that's where these partnerships and that's where this trust comes in, where you've got to build a community around your leaders, and you've got to have those leaders being talking to other people. And so I think it's continuity of government, once again, leadership and knowledge and wisdom. Thank you.
Well, that's a difficult question. So, we do have homes that are going up, and we are increasing population, albeit slow. However, the homes that are being built outside PG&E are being sold pretty much just as fast as they're being built. We also have a new home builder coming to town, which will be in the Coalition area. They bought about 50 lots, I believe, and they will start building here pretty soon. So we're slowly increasing our population. It is painfully slow. It is awful to not have these big businesses here, but as long as we keep following the same course, I'm telling you, we're going to get there. It's just going to take time, it's going to take patience, it's going to take discipline, but we will get there eventually. Just stay the course, I'm telling you.
The question was, what are the plans that you have, being that we do have a population program or problem? How do you go about bringing in new businesses and opening them, setting us up for success?
Again, I think that's with unity, and I think it's with taking care of what we do have, not always looking for something new and better. There may be new houses being built up, but from my understanding, those houses are being sold to individuals that work in our prison system, that come in and they sublease their homes for people that are here that don't contribute to the community, and then they go home on the weekends. And the people that live here, the people that work here that don't make state money, can't afford to live here. They can't find places to live. The lowest rent I think now is like $700. We're kind of making it impossible. I think if we still keep on going down this path, we're going to have a community, we're going to be a prison town basically, and there's not going to be no in between middle class people. People are going to leave. The people that are going to live here are people that work in the prison systems, or the poor that can't afford to leave. And I don't want to see that happen. I want honesty, and I want to see positive growth, no matter how small it is. Damage control, small growth in the right way. I don't want to see big promises or being told this and told that and this can't be done, but yet when something particular they want something done, it gets done. We have a trust issue right now.
Thank you. And thank you to those who are offering up these questions for our candidates tonight. I've got a series of different topics, but there's one more that's related to this, the whole cannabis and retail business here in town. It is specifically for Mr. Kahiki and Mr. Singleton. First of all, let me establish, are you for or against the cannabis business in Coalinga? You can just...
That's a question that has...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because it's not about me personally. If you ask me, I'm against it. Okay, but for the community, if it works for the community, then I have to be with it because it's not my decision. If I'm a city council person, I'm representing you, not me. So I can present you with the information and allow us to make a decision. I can't say, well, I don't want it, I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. Or I can't say, well, I want it, you guys don't, but we're going to do it. You know what I mean? It has to be a joint decision because I asked for your vote. I can't turn my back on you when it's time to make a decision. So if the consensus is it stays, then it would stay. If the consensus says no, no. But you've got to present them with all the information from that.
Ms. Kahiki, then, the question is, being opposed to the cannabis industry in Coalinga, how would you work with the already existing businesses that are established here, and will you be open to new ones?
I think my opponent answered that question correctly. I do not agree with marijuana. But as a council member, you have to take into consideration what's best for the community. But I think with anything that you bring into the community, it's the approach of things. If people trust you, if they respect you, if you respect certain things, I think it makes the transition easier for the people that have to live here and consume it.
Sorry, I'm trying to reply here. Specifically for Mr. Atkinson and Mr. Vosberg. It asked for the city hiring, why is the city hiring employees when current employees have gone a decade without a raise? Why are we hiring new employees when current employees have gone a decade without a raise?
If we're hiring new employees, from what I understand, we've lost a whole bunch of employees. I don't know exactly that we hired new employees unless it was to replace an existing employee who may have retired or quit or went to another job. So I don't know exactly. If it was more specific, I can answer the question a little better, but
So for your
employees in
understanding, we
general,
haven't had new employees. We haven't been hiring new employees.
not to my knowledge that I can think of at the moment.
So, new employees that we hire fill positions that are vacant. People come and go all the time. We have police officers that leave, we have firefighters that leave. We just have, I think, 5 firefighters leave for other opportunities. The state and the feds and everyone else has unlimited pocketbooks that you guys don't get a vote on. Isn't that jack? We're $500 billion in debt, I think, in California with pension liabilities, and their raises and everything is up here. So then when we go to try and hire people, no one wants to work for us because they're up here. Well, guess what? 13,000 people can't afford up here. We can afford down here. So if we're hiring people and not giving raises because we're just trying to stay in business and operate, we would love to give everyone raises. In fact, we've been trying to trickle in raises. That's kind of what the Measure J does, is it kind of pushes into there and says, hey, We have city employees that haven't had raises in 12 years. We have public safety. You don't even understand this. It's so hard to get people to come and work here because of the amount. So we have a choice. Do we want to fill the shifts and provide the services to the community, or do we want to give people those raises that they deserve? And this is what we've been going on with the past 4 years. Every single time I go into council, almost every single time, there's a closed session item that says, hey, we need to talk about raises. And I think everyone in council wants to give people raises. That's like the top priority. But we also need to keep the city functioning, or else you're not going to have water service or fire service or police service. So it's all together. Don't believe the hype from people. You want to know, talk to the city manager about this kind of thing, or come to a council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bosworth, to you again. What is your position on raising taxes in Coalinga?
So, I voted for Ron Paul every single time he's been on the ballot, and last time I did not vote for Trump. I voted for Ron Paul again, even though he wasn't there, because I am not a believer in taxes. However, the Libertarian Party that I am a part of, we do believe in you have to pay for what you want. If you want those services, and it's overwhelmingly everyone wants the services, so that's a default thing. We have to have police and fire. So I 100,000% support Measure J. I support Measure C. It's important when your kid is choking and you don't have an ambulance to come and get him, you're going to wish you supported that. When you have domestic violence at your house and someone's at gunpoint, you're going to wish you supported Measure J. This is not a joke. We are going to continue to get this town under budget. We are not going to go backwards. So you are paying for those services out of the taxes. And someone told me the other day, they said, well, I already pay my city taxes. I said, really, which one is that? They had no clue. Right. Thanks.
Mr. Singleton, same question. What is your position on raising taxes in Coalinga?
Raising taxes. Nobody likes to raise taxes. Nobody likes to pay taxes. But the reality is that you have to have that. But I can understand raising taxes is hard when you're not generating any income to the citizens. If they're not making any money, how are you going to take money from them? That's a tough one. But at the same time, your hiring is going to affect that. Because if I hire one person, I'm responsible for that person and that job, and his cost of living has to go up. I can't keep them for 12 years at one solid pay. So with that in mind, you're going to have to figure out a way to tax people, but let them know what the tax is. I mean, if it's fire and safety, nobody's got a problem. But if it's for anything other than that, then there's going to be a problem. Because you have to bring money in order to get money out. And if not money's coming in and not money want to go out. So, I mean, nobody wants to raise taxes.
The question asks, what is your position on Measure J? What is your plan if it passes? What is your plan if it fails? It is open to each and any.
So I 100% fully support Measure J. This will lead us onto the path of a little bit of economic stability. Right now, we are down 25% in our police department. At one time, not too long ago, there were 40 firemen, and now we're down to about 23. This month alone, we had 48 unfilled shifts in the fire department. So what are we doing with those 48 shifts? Those are 24-hour shifts. We're paying overtime, we're taking firemen away from their family, and we're forcing them to work overtime. Not only that, they are the worst paid fire department around the area. I have the 2015 survey back in 2015, and it hasn't changed. They make significantly less. Our officers, I've been out on ride-alongs with them, and there have been only two officers out there, and we were on the call, and we got into a little chase and a foot pursuit. Anyways, if something else was happening in the city during that time, there was nothing that we could do. There were only 2 officers working right then. So if something's going on the other side of town, you're going to be out of luck. Now, with the fire department and ambulance, if you got 2 ambulances out, you're going to be sitting here waiting for American ambulance, and who knows how long that's going to take for them to show up from Avalon. So if you're having a heart attack, If you're waiting 45 minutes for that ambulance to show up, you're not going to be in good shape. So we really need this to pass. If it doesn't pass, then we're going to make the necessary cuts in order to make the budget balanced and not go into more debt. That's the only thing we can do.
So, I've heard a lot of people lately saying, if you have an overtime problem, why don't you just hire people? That's a great question. No one wants to work here, that's why. And the reason is, one, we're located in Coalinga, which is farthest away from most things in Fresno County. Another reason is, we don't pay them well enough to come and work here. So we have a real problem. So we have to give raises in order to get people to come here, in order to retain the people that we have. So with Measure J, that's exactly what the intention is of doing, is hiring, and I'm going to read here from Bill Lewis's flyer, hire 3 additional firefighter paramedic positions, reinstate 10 reserve firefighters, 2 additional police officers, add a police investigator, and pay fair wages to police fire employees so we can attract new hires. Hire a deputy fire chief and then fill needed public safety vacancies. And that's what we did. We created a resolution that had a priority list on this, because the last time in the Measure C failed, people said, well, we didn't even have a priority list to go from. So this was our priority list. And then we created a group called Transparency and Accountability, which I am the chair of the Finance Committee, which we're still waiting on people to join up in this committee, but when it's joined, it would be myself, 2 committee members, and then people from the city as well. That way that the citizens can actually have some oversight. And we took a play from the school. They did this. They created an oversight committee in order to watch out for those expenses. And you know, my goal from day one is let's be transparent. Let's keep those council minutes going. Let's keep the tapes going so everyone can see everything we're doing. Let's operate in the public. And if Measure J doesn't pass, we're going to make more cuts. And that's the citizens of this town either A, not understanding city government and seeing that they're going to call our bluff, or B, that they have decided the amounts of services that they want. So vote for Measure J, in my opinion.
I wish that was a simple yes or no answer. Unfortunately, it's not. As a citizen of this community, I'll answer that question, and I will tell you that I don't appreciate being given an ultimatum to choose between voting for a tax on my safety of me and my family. I don't appreciate it. Again, it falls into those trust issues. When Measure J is currently being said, it doesn't specify just for law enforcement. I support law enforcement 100%. What I do not support is being pushed into do something I don't agree with, and trust the people to do with what they say they're going to do with it. And that's an awful place to be. I live in this town. I want to stay in this town. I want to work in this town. I don't say, oh, it's Coalinga, that's why that happens. I believe, I don't care if you're in Timbuktu, you make the best of any situation. You make Coalinga Police Department one of the best places you want to come work. You support that. I resent the fact that the police department feels that the community does not support them. The officers feel we do not support them. They're overwhelmed. I resent the fact that the hostile work environment has been created for them, which in turn opens the city up for litigation or cost with worker comp cases. That's what I resent. I will not at this time vote for Measure J because I do not trust the people in the hands the money will be put.
Measure J. Let's hope Measure J passes, regardless of what we feel and how we feel about it. Because if it doesn't, it's only going to get worse. Measure J is very sticky, in my opinion. I would have made it a simple safety issue, a tax on safety. Therefore, you know where the money's going. There's no doubt, nowhere. But they did, and we got over what they wrote. But if it doesn't pass, I think we should look at this other tax that we got going on with the refuse truck. That extra 5% that the city gets, take that and roll that in. Because if you don't pay these guys, they're not going to be here. It's point blank. I mean, so you have to pay them. We have to vote Measure J in, and then hopefully it turns out for the better and not the worse. Because you make that phone call, and and 911, they're not there. I hate to say it, but I mean, it's going to be hard times. I mean, you can call doctor after doctor, but I don't think he's going to come in. It ain't going to happen. So you need to make sure that Measure J passes so we can try to get things back on track here. We're going to vote for Measure J.
Seems that we have several concerned citizens about the wording of Measure J, ensuring that the money will go directly to fund emergency services and not other priorities. This question is specifically for Mr. Bosworth as mayor, it says. If you can address that.
That's perfect, because I have the exact answer for this. Last time we tried a public safety tax, it passed, it failed 70%, it wasn't even close. So, you need 66.7%, I think it is, to pass a public safety tax. We got 70% against it. Wasn't even close. So it's not that we didn't want to do that. Guess where 80% of our general fund goes? It goes to police and fire. So I absolutely resent the fact that you think that you can't trust us, because trust is built and earned, and we have been spending for the last 10, 15 years 80% on police and fire. So I don't know where you think we're going to take this money and spend it. We're going to hide it. Maybe I'll give a little bit of it to Mary. Maybe the cannabis companies will come in and get a little bit of it. But you know what? You want to talk about being divisive? What I hear is candidates up here that are dividing us right now as we speak, and it's sickening. Because this is what has been the problem in this town, is that people are dividing, people are calling names, people are using social media to try and go back and forth. And let me tell you, social media is a nasty little habit, because people can hide behind their keyboards and not have to come out. We do business in the public, in front of everybody, and everyone is welcome to come to the council meetings. So this lack of trust, it's not a lack of trust, it's creating distrust for a personal agenda. And I think that's ridiculous, and that's what you're seeing tonight. And you want to talk about dissatisfied? I'm dissatisfied with that, because every time that I'm anywhere on social media, I'm pushing a positive atmosphere. And when I see other people that have an agenda of pushing a negative atmosphere, it makes me sick, because that's actually, you're going to divide the community, and then you're going to tell people, oh, they're dividing the community. That's a nice little trick to play. Why don't we all be positive and we focus on positive stuff? We get all the board members together from all the different things, we get groups together, we bring those people together, and we do positive things. We do not have room for negativity in this house. Thank you.
Following that same thread, I would like to give Ms. Contina a chance to answer the question. It says you mentioned the trust issue that we have. If you could explain that further, the trust issue, and elaborate on what you mean about the unity specifically.
As a citizen of this community, I don't apparently have the same views as Mr. Bosberg. I don't believe there is unity. I believe each group is out for their own. I think it's all about me, I. I have been a volunteer at the police department for 8 years. I've given my time, my resources, and my family's time and resources also. With the new neighborhood watch program, I wasn't even invited. I was excluded. I don't believe that
Please go out first.
there is unity in this community, and me as a citizen who lives here, spends a great deal of money here, works here, wants the best for this community, I don't feel I can trust our council. And that's my personal opinion.
So I helped facilitate the neighborhood watch program, and we got about 100 and something.
Sorry to interrupt you. So it'll be 1 minute rebuttal.
Okay.
You may begin now.
Okay, so I helped start the neighborhood watch program. Mayor Bosberg is the one who actually brought it forward, and then I helped facilitate and push it forward. I advertised it on Facebook constantly. I didn't leave anybody out. There was no one who was left out, no one who couldn't attend. Anybody could attend if they wanted to. We had a nice show up of about 120 people, and now we have about approximately 20, 25 block captains. What's the other part of the question? The spending of Measure J money and how we can trust people. Well, look, I'm looking at all of you in the eye right now, and I'm telling you this is where I'm going to spend the money. And and I see you guys in the store, and I see you guys at school. Some of your kids go to school with my kids, and I'm telling you that's where the money's going to be spent. So if I don't spend the money exactly where we said, then I hope you do your right civic duty and either recall me or vote me out. I'm telling you right now, if I say that's where the money's going to go, that's where my vote's going to go.
Thank you. The next question also ties in kind of to what was mentioned during your responses. I've got a couple of questions here. The first is, what is your opinion, and this is open to anyone, by the way, what is your opinion regarding all the negative bantering back and forth on social media with the public and council members? Do you think this is beneficial for the success of our city?
Absolutely not. Now, I'm 100% for freedom of speech, but we have a very small group, a handful of people that have a personal agenda of attacking council, whether or not they're using it to get themselves on the council or whether or not they're doing it to try and dox someone and put their own personal information out. What we have is harassment. We have downright harassment. There's a bunch of different groups that are being used right now where people are hiding behind the keyboards and they're talking bad stuff about council. And you know what? It does not do our city any favors. People look at those groups and they say to themselves, why would we want to come here? So guess what? I hold you responsible for that because I do not do that. When I'm on social media, I'm precise. I tell people exactly what we're talking about, what we're doing, and I try and keep a positive note. And that's where we need to be. We need to be together, we need to be motivated, and we need to be positive as a community. And we can no longer do that. Just look at who is putting the comments out. Look at the things that are being said. It's not council members that are doing this for the most part. It is certain members of the public who I believe have a personal agenda to attack council, and it's not productive at all, and I do not support it at all. And I will do my best to get groups of people together to fight that. And what we will do is we will spread positivity around this city because that's what's needed to grow. Thank you.
What is your opinion regarding all the negative bantering back and forth on social media with the public and council members? Do you think it is beneficial for the success of our city?
I do not feel it's beneficial. I feel that it is, I think you should lead by example. I also feel that you shouldn't get on public media and say what you can't say to somebody's face. I don't understand the world that I feel that I live in today where there's no talking. It's from one extreme to another. Your neighbor does something, you call cops, you want to come sick your neighbor. What about knocking on the door and explaining yourself or communicating with people? Everything goes from one extreme to another, there's no in between. Because I think it's because of the behavior we're dealing with. I think Mr. Gosberg is correct. It's a small group of people. But what ends up happening is you get tunnel vision and you think everybody's like that. And before you know it, you're depressed and you're miserable. And you don't see any way out and you start seeing the city a different way. I don't agree with that. I also don't agree with city business being operated on public media. I don't believe that people should be able to go on public media and put things out there and our city manager responds immediately. I think they should have to go into the city and approach those issues face to face. And I think if they're filing a complaint against somebody, I think it should be in writing, and I think they should have to sign for that. Because I think people hide behind the computers, and we deal with a malicious society that wants to hurt people. There's no in between. They want to destroy you. They want to rip you down, and they want to hurt you. And that's what I see.
Thank you. You mentioned public safety as well, and that's based off of the questions that have come in and a concern, an obvious concern. This first one is for District 3 candidates, so this is for Mr. Singleton and Mr. Vosper. The question says, District 3 is probably the area of town with the most for public safety. What is your vision to improve this, your own district?
So, a lot of our problems do exist in District 3, and I have walked, I'm not going to call them problem areas, but I've walked around Pleasant Street, around Valley Street, and what they call the East Side, and the only way that I believe that we're going to solve this is through opportunity. And we need to provide the people opportunity. With with 47, 57, 80, 109, California has pretty much set the rules. We are not going to be arresting people and putting them in jail. So something else has to change. We have to start providing people jobs and opportunity. And that is going to be the number one thing in council is how do we do that? And after getting out of the debt, that is the number one priority that I have. And I think it number one affects public safety. Because if you provide someone a job, then they're not needing to steal from somebody else. If you provide them help with substance abuse, then they're not going to be out there hopefully stealing things out of cars. We really do have a huge problem in California with those propositions that I laid out forward. I've done my best. I went to Sacramento. We've tried to lobby against this type of thing. And our value system in Coalinga, I don't think is represented well in Sacramento. And so the plan on this is going to be to properly fund our police and fire, properly give them the raises that they need so that we can acquire good people and that we can keep them here. Retention is the number one thing. And then also, your communities. This neighborhood watch program has the ability to actually stem into all kinds of good things. We're having a neighborhood watch meeting, and a lot of people have been asking me, like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, we're just going to get together and know each other. Knowing your community. I agree with what you said. People need to talk to each other. People need to get out and get to know each other. If we can change that stigma, then we can change society. And it's going to take a societal change to correct these things. And so, it's going to be a hard sell, but I think police and fire and public safety is an opportunity. Thank you.
District 3, huh? Okay. What we gotta do with District 3, I do agree. If you have nothing to do, you're gonna think of something negative to get into. Okay, so we have to create something for them, but we also need to have the neighbors assurity that they can also speak to the police when they come there. So some of them don't want to talk to them, even though they know what happened, they see what happened, they don't want to get involved. So we got to make everybody involved, just like Adam has the neighborhood watch thing. But communication will be the key thing. The key is communication, because some people don't want jobs. They rather just take what you have instead of working for it. And there's nothing you can do with it. But you have to have your law enforcement at full staff to do that, because the reality is the cops aren't going to be there exactly when it happens. It's just a law of averages. They're not going to be there. That's why we call it, to get there. But you need to be direct in saying what you saw. Have no fear. I mean, you just have to stand up. You have to stand up. And it's going to take us to create some jobs, sure, but also as a neighborhood, as a community, we got to stick together with this. We can't let it get too much further out of control.
I did not, or wasn't able to get to your question this evening. But the two key words that I'm seeing on these cards of this question are proactive and specific. It is open to all council, all the candidates. How will you be proactive in ensuring emergency services, establishing a new hospital in Coalinga? It seems as if you are elderly or ill, you're walking through a minefield every day.
Bring emergency service back to Coalinga. I really don't know if that's possible at this time. I think the time for that to be done was when we got the rooms that it was going to close. That's when we should have came together as a city and a community to do all we could to prevent that. I really did not believe the hospital was going to close. I just thought it was a rumor. I was shocked, scared the day that they closed. I work in the medical field. I was afraid for what was going to happen to this community. I don't know if emergency services will come back to this community. That's my hope. But what I do hope for is a 24-hour urgent care if we can't get emergency services, and lab and x-ray for the community so people don't have to drive to Hanford to get an x-ray. I want to do anything and everything in my power to support that. I do that. I sent emails. When I heard that the hospital was going to close, I started emailing every hospital in California. I emailed hospitals in Boston. I emailed anybody that would listen to me, because I believe if you plant the seed, you never know. And I did that. And so I want to see services come back here. I want to see them stay here, obviously. I have a family. I think people had talked about the hospital, that they didn't utilize the services, and I believe people felt that they could get services elsewhere better. But being my profession, in a true emergency, you need a hospital here. And I can't imagine living in this day and age where I have everything at my fingertips with a phone, but my family may die because I can't get to emergency services.
So when the hospital was closing, we had several meetings at the city to try and see what we could do as a city to try and keep the hospital. Fortunately, the amount of money that was needed to keep it running, we just didn't have. So now we have to put our faith and trust in the hospital board, the CEO, Wayne. He's working very hard to try and bring something to Coalinga. It may not be emergency services, but it most likely is going to be an urgent care. I know for a fact that the mayor during this time was very active, trying to do what he could to try and work with politicians, to do anything to get some kind of infusion of cash to keep the hospital where it was. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. We almost had a chance at another hospital coming in, but the state put an end to that real quick. Sometimes I think we fight the state more than we fight anything else in our lives. But anyways, so we did try, and we will continue to work with the hospital board. Anything the hospital board needs, they can come to the city, and we will make sure it happens.
Okay, so hospital is one of the most important things that we need in this town. Unfortunately, the way that it was being ran and the services that were going to be provided and the way that it was being billed, all of that stuff ended up with a perfect storm of our population, and it didn't work out so well. The second that I realized there was going to be an immediate issue, I called a meeting, and we got people from the hospital, we called people from the college, we had a big meeting with a lot of people, and we did a brainstorming session on what we could do. Nextly, I called Eddie Valdeo, I called Joaquin Arambula, and I called Senator Canella's office. And all of those people were working to try and get this saved. They all sent emails to Wayne, to Mr. Allen, with ideas of different hospitals and different things. Unfortunately, none of them would have worked out because of the fact that we were missing the services that we needed to provide the services for the ones that we had going. And the state said, no, you're null and void. You can't operate like that. So once we realized that that was the case, they started working on the Chapter 9. And so we're hoping, my hope is, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the hospital board, but my hope is that after seeing the newly appointed board member, Linda Balling, which I have a lot of faith in, she's a great person, has also put his name in as well. And so we've got two great people, and then we've got board members that have been there with the wisdom. And that's super important to realize. You can't just take new blood into a situation and think you're going to fix everything. You need that wisdom. And believe me, when I came in and I had the two Rons, without them, I could see where we'd be missing some wisdom. So we're going to try everything we do to work with the hospital board and try and work with our elected officials to make this happen for Coalinga. I do agree we may end up with some kind of outpatient care or an urgent care system. I believe we will bring it home for Coalinga.
The hospital, wow. Yeah, some of you don't imagine, some of you might even dream that it would be gone. But it is, so I think, in my opinion, that should have been handled differently after the first bankruptcy, but it wasn't. So what, we have to move on from that and try to get it back again. But since we don't have that, and for the people of the community, we need to keep them at whatever cost you want to do, whatever raise you want to. It's not even a raise, it's just getting them where they should be. A raise is something extra, they're not even at the level where they should be. So we need to focus on what we can control, which is our EMS, because that's the only medical that we have right now. And so if we lose that with the hospital, we already know what's going to happen. So the hospital, hopefully, pray that it will come back to us or some kind of EMS. But until then, you guys are all we got. I mean, and we depend on you throughout. So just hang in there. We're going to get you. Whether I win District 3 or not, we're still going to get you.
Thank you. Now I can go to our closing statements. We will give each of you 1 minute to present your closing statements, and we will start in the same order where we began with Mr. Avalanche.
Okay, so my goal over the next 4 years is to stay on the path of fiscal responsibility and discipline. I believe we can eliminate all debt within the next year or two. We can create a rainy day fund so we can weather another economic downturn when the time happens again, because it will happen again at some point in time. When economically feasible, we need to hire more officers and more firemen and eventually start a third ambulance, because that's something we're missing right now. We also need to upgrade our existing infrastructure. We have a ladder truck for the fire department that has been out for repairs ever since I got on council. So if we're out there and there's a fire at the retirement home, the 3-story one, what do you think we're going to do? We have to start zip tying ladders together for the firemen to try and get up there. So we also have to think about upgrading our infrastructure. Our sewer is in dire straits. It's a really crappy situation. So we need to stay with the leadership that we have now. We're moving forward. We're doing great. We will get there eventually.
Thank you all tonight for showing your respect and coming out. I appreciate it. I'm a human being, and human beings are wonderful people. With education and experience, we can evolve and change our thinking about things. I don't stand here today and think I know the answers to everything. What I do know is that I love this community. I've invested in this community, and I'm willing to put myself out there for this community. And I want to be part of a positive, I don't want to be part of a problem, I want to be part of something positive. So I hope I get your votes, and I hope I can learn and grow, and I hope I can make you proud. Because honesty and integrity is super important to me.
For these next years, what I'm looking at doing is starting with our core, fire, PD, and working our way out. That's where we can never go wrong. Our core starts with them. Then we can work on the other mom and pop shops trying to get bigger and better. But as with anything, you gotta have a starting point. And that's, for me, our starting point. Once these guys are doing their job effectively, we can slowly roll together. And I guarantee you it will work. It will work. We've come too far to let it go. And I'm not ready to let it go.
So, police and fire, police and fire, police and fire, right? That's it. That's what we need to focus on. I agree with that 100%. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, including all of these fine candidates. I want to thank my wife, my children, my family, my friends for supporting me for the rest of this journey on council. Lastly, I'd like to thank everyone in the direction that has steered me, but most importantly, God, for steering me in this direction to serve this fine city and what He has planned for me in the future. Every day I pray for this city and for the people of this city to grow and respect each other. Almost every day at the library, I see new people come in and tell me what a wonderful town it is and how they feel much safer and secure in Coalinga than where they came from. I have always said that where there's a lack of things, there is an increase in opportunity. Council is only 5 members of this community. Replacing council members, city managers, and police chiefs has been an epic failure of this community for many years, and in my opinion, has not provided a good continuity of governance. What we really need is for the community to thrive, and for that to happen, we first and foremost need opportunity, passion, and motivation. All of which exist in this community. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for being here with this portion of the City Council question and answer period. We want to
Good evening. See up here. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. My name is Johnny Albright. I've lived here in Coalinga for 35 years. I was a teacher in high school for 34 years, 26 of that here in Coalinga. I've been on the school board for 8 years now. This is my 8th year. I also currently work as an ag inspector. You'll be happy to know in 2 weeks you won't deal with those tomato trucks anymore. We've done a lot of good things in the district. I disagree with one of the candidates that was up here earlier. Our schools are doing really good. We have some great things happening in our schools. Our students are doing very great things. Tom Lacero's kids do great plays. If you've never been to one, you really missed something. We've got a lot of good things going. Our school facilities are being improved. They started prior to I got on the board with the prior bond issue, and we are continuing that with the new one. Thanks to the citizens of this town, we're able to improve the schools, get rid of the portables at the elementary schools, go to permanent buildings, and continue improving. And I would like to continue that and see to the end of this project. Thank you.
Canada?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carol Canada, and I'd like to start by saying thank you for the opportunity you're giving me to tell a little bit about myself. I moved to Coalinga in 1986 with my family. We came from Southern California. We moved to Coalinga because my husband Dave was going to run a rock band south of town. We have been married 41 years and have 2 daughters, Katie and Megan. After 31 years with the district, I am now retired. I have held several positions in the district and have enjoyed the challenges faced in each of them. I appreciate my years with the district because I have had the opportunity to grow as an individual and succeed in my community. The last 21 years I worked as a secretary and registrar at the Welcome Center, where I was referred to as the Chamber of Commerce of Schools, because I got to introduce families to our schools and our community. For 30 years, I've sat on the board of our local chapter of the California School Employees Union for the classified staff, and of those 17 years, I was president. I am proud to have stood up for and with classified employees. I also sat on the Coalinga Huron Berkeley House Board. We work to send students from Coalinga and Huron schools to summer program at UC Berkeley. I sat on the board for the West Side Crisis Network, which served battered women in our area. I firmly believe that children have the right to feel safe, nurtured, and accepted at their school. It's our job in the district to work with our teachers and parents so that the adults are role models for respect, behavior, fairness, and equality.
Mr. Zabir.
Thank you for coming out and listening to us. I guess I'm the old man of the slate up here because I moved into this town 62 years ago. I went all the way through the elementary school systems here, promoted to middle school, and then I graduated from high school, attended junior college here, where I played basketball for 2 years. And I was a lot quicker and slimmer in those days. But, from here I went to San Jose State for a year, came back, moved to Fresno, worked in the community development programs for the city, went back to school, graduated from Fresno State, worked at the Sacramento Convention Center as a event supervisor, and then figured out that that's not what I wanted to do with my life. I moved back to Coalinga, worked for the Recreation and Park District for 3 years. Then I ended up working for an oil company because I got married to my wife Patricia, and we had 3 children, Ryan, Stacy, and Jake. And I wasn't making much money back in those days, so I went to work for an oil company. It was Shell Oil, the pipeline department, and I worked there for 30 years. In the interim, I also worked at West Hills College, where I have a lifetime credential to teach weight training and fitness. And I did that for about 6 or 7 years until they did away with their athletic program, and then they reinstituted us. Went back and worked for a year and hung that up. However, I've been on this board for 21 years, and now that I got my grandchildren all back in school, I want to continue with their education and the existing continuing programs that we've got going, the bonds, and I was instrumental in the first bond that we had to build the middle school. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin answering or asking questions. And this first question is open to any of the candidates. It's kind of multifaceted. There are several parts. What is good about the Coalinga Huron Unified School District? What is not good right now about the Coalinga Huron Unified School District? Do you support what the current administration is doing? Would you like to see changes? And let's start with that.
Okay. The thing I like the most is the new buildings that are going up, the bond work that's taking place. I think we have great staff. The thing I don't like about school district would be the language that our children use there. I think it's sad that that's their go-to words. I think Ms. Villanueva is leading us in the right direction. She has made us physically sound. We still have lots to do to keep our head above water. I think I could help in the future there.
I love going to the schools and seeing what some of our students are doing. They're doing some great projects, doing good things, really great things. Like I said, Tom Lucero's arts program with the performing arts does some great things. Our SEAL program in the elementary, as far as reading and tying in science and math and everything all together, is showing some great outcomes. Financially, we have, a year ago, we were looking kind of bleak. We made some changes. We hired a new CBO, and she's done great things, found things we're in the wrong place, put them in the right place, straightened stuff out. And so now our 5-year projection is looking very good. Typically schools, we're not like a business, we can't just raise prices, it depends on the state. But based on what we get from the state right now, we're okay. And, but we got a lot of projects going, and as far as our administration is working very well with the teachers. They're very positive, and I think she's very supportive, and they seem to be very supportive of her. Thank you.
What do I like about our school district and our school system? Everything. I love the school district. I grew up here. I went through it, and I've been a big supporter of it. I was on the Boosters Club for many a year. Our Boosters Club dinner provided $30,000 in one dinner every year to the athletic programs at the high school. I've met the new superintendent, Lori Villanueva, and her CBO, a couple of excellent people. And I've been through a lot of in my time that I was on there. And when I got on it, that's one of the reasons I ran, was because the entire community was complaining about that whole group that we had here 27 years ago. And one of the first things the superintendent asked me is, well, he says, you don't need to be talking to a bunch of malcontents that work for us and people out in the community that got access to grind. And in not very nice language, I told him what he could do with that. Because I've always been the type of person that says, look, you're going to have to trust me to be able to tell fact from fiction. The truth lies somewhere in between, and I think being a college graduate and having common sense that I can figure out who's pulling my leg and who isn't, and what the truth is. I will talk to whomever I want, whenever I want. There are rules and laws about what you can and cannot say to the employees. It's not my job as a board member to go out there and start telling them anything. The only person I interact with is the superintendent, and only on the board level. I can't go in there and order about. I can't order any of the staff about. You know, I'm not implying that either of my two opponents would do that or have done that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I do. I talk a lot to people. I get information, I listen to them, and I care about what happens to their complaints, their problems, and I see it to fruition so that we come to an amicable decision. Thank you.
So we'll see if these new batteries give us a mic.
It does.
It works.
Again, this is open to all of the candidates. There has been a lot of talk on Coalinga social media regarding bullying in schools, students being bullied. What actions would you take as board members to prevent the rampant bullying occurring in our schools? How would you deal with this issue?
I think we should bring God back into the school, and children should stand in the morning and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I think we should have more groups, student groups that are allowed to meet and worship together. I think that would solve a lot of our problems. I believe that we all as adults have to get involved in children's lives and say no when we see something going wrong.
Unfortunately, bullying has been around forever. Even at my side, you can imagine that, yeah, in elementary, I was bullied. It's just a matter of fighting back. If you see it, you have to stop it. It can't be the responsibility of a board member, a principal, a superintendent. It has to be everybody's responsibility. If they see it happening, everybody needs to take action then. And don't say, well, that's somebody else's job. Whether it's a teacher, whether it's an aide, whether it's another student. If you see somebody bullied, you need to say something then and report it. And then we can deal with it. We do programs, we have programs for the kids, the anti-bullying and everything else. But it still takes everybody to work on it. Thank you.
Bullying is a problem in the schools, and bullies are the same anywhere. I don't care if it's in the school district or they're out in the public. But what we need to do is shine the light of day on them. Bullies like to operate in the shadows where no one sees them doing the bullying. I mean, they don't get up on the stage and bully a kid in front of us. They do it in the bathrooms, behind buildings, where no one can see them doing it. But I think it's incumbent upon us to get a program going where everybody gets involved in it, and everybody is committed to turning the bullies in, shining the light on, and if we have to drag their parents down to the school, so be it. I was always a big proponent of that. Get their parents in here. Make them take a day off of work. Make it hurt them. This is what your kid is doing, and how much we will and will not tolerate. Now, we used to kick kids like that out of school, the incorrigible ones that would not listen. I was just reading in the paper that the fellows up in Sacramento now have passed another one of their little measures that kids can't be kicked out of school for any reason. They're going to throw it back on the school, back on the teachers, back on the principal, back on the disciplinarians, and we're going to have a lot harder time dealing with it. But if attention is called to these people, I guarantee you some of that bullying is going to go down. You're not going to kill all of it. You're not going to stop all of it because, when you come up with a solution, they have another alternative to that. But we have to stay on top of it. At one time, we didn't have enough aides to go into the bathroom. Or we had a female aide that couldn't go into the boys' bathroom, a boy aide that couldn't go into the female bathroom. Let's just spend the money where we have to. There's nothing worse than one of our children afraid to go to school and learn, because it affects them for a lifetime. Thank you.
Along those same lines, currently we have one school resource officer that covers multiple sites within the district. Would you support expanding the police officer in the school program? And if so, how? And that's open to any of you. All right.
Is
Yeah, I would be very much in favor of expanding that, and if we had to hire one for each of the communities, so be it. We used to have the part-time people that work out in Huron at the elementary schools, and in Coalinga at our elementary school and our middle school, and they would go from one campus to another one, from the elementary in Huron out to the middle school, and they weren't there, stuff happens. So, like I said, if we have to spend the money, what do we want to do? Have our kids be fearful about going to school, not learning, negating all the hard work that teachers are doing, just because we didn't want to spend the money to hire another resource officer to however many we need to. Let's do a cost assessment, a needs assessment study, and find out if we're going to get the money to pay for that. Okay, we just had the good news about the $600,000 or $800,000 that we're getting from the platform. You know what I mean? Let's utilize some of the funds. You know, and if we have to do it to protect children instead of scarring them for life, let's spend the money wisely. Thank you.
Just to correct the information, we actually have 2 resource officers, one in Coalinga and one in Huron. So each city has their own resource officer. Yeah, they're still stretched thin. You got one officer to cover all the schools in Coalinga, and then another one covers all the schools in Huron. It'd be great to have enough money to put an officer in every class, or not in every class, but in every school. But realizing that's very expensive. It's, with benefits and everything, you're talking in excess of $100,000 per position. If you took that $600,000 we got, get 6 of them for 1 year, and then we're out. So we need to keep looking at it, yes, and if we can come up with money, Lucy does a good job finding money, but it's not always there. And if we can expand it, we can. But definitely we need to keep going the way we are, at least with what we have, and keep working at it.
I don't believe we should lose anything, hopefully. Adding to is always better than cutting. We do have campus security, which helps a lot. The people on the four-wheel golf carts that go around with the kids, they visit with kids, and they see what's happening behind the scenes. Our resource officer is very important in both communities. It would be wonderful to see an extra one at Coalinga because we are so many. And it would be lovely to see more police officers around the district at beginning and ending of school because of the traffic control. I think an important step to fix this problem would be what Mr. Vosper alluded to earlier tonight about joint boards, sitting down collectively as the school board, the city council, the hospital board, and come up with ways to better serve this community.
Thank you. Okay, we have time for 3 more questions. I apologize because I have a stack of questions here. So the first one goes to Mr. Speary. How do you plan to elevate CHUSD's ranking amongst other districts within California?
Well, my plan to do that would be to look at the FICMAT study that we just had done, see what all the shortcomings and positive things that that FICMAT study said that we needed to do. Okay, we went from a digital school system of tracking payroll, budgeting, and staffing, and now we're on a program called ARIES. It seems I want to stay on a program for a lot longer than what we do. In the 21 years I was on this board, it seemed like every 4 to 5 years they reinvented the wheel. And the federal government would come down and say, okay, you guys, because of your test scores, need to take this program done. And it was met with a lot of resistance from a lot of our staff, because what they had been doing, they were comfortable with, they were working hard at it, okay? So then we would start on the new program, and in time, they would adapt that program to their teaching methodologies, and then they ended up loving it. And guess what? Here comes another program that they were mandated to do. And I'd like to get a hold of some of our congressional people, say, hey, you guys got to put a skid to something like that. I mean, let us at least stick with something for a while. They used to be, when I was growing up, they had the same teaching methodologies forever, and we had a lot of kids that were tremendously successful in life and in school with a program that they stuck with. You know, it's called the ABCs, you know, and they learned very well. Didn't have all the jargon you've got now that confuses, okay? So that's what I would push for, and elevate our schools and where they should be and where we were at one time back in the old days. Thank you.
So the next question is for Mr. Albright. But before I ask the question, we would like to see a show of hands what your position is on having a high school in the city of Huron. If you are for that, if you would raise your hand, and if not, if you would keep your hand down.
Oh, you asking all?
Yeah, all three. So, Mr. Albright, we would like to know your stance on this and why.
If the city of Huron had enough students, I'd love to see a high school there. Unfortunately, they don't have enough students. You don't build a high school for 300 students. Not anymore. 80 years ago, you might have. But with only 300 high school age students, there's no way you can build a high school and make it a comprehensive high school. That doesn't mean they can't have some sort of program. We're looking at possibly a CTE program where the kids can spend part-time in Huron and the rest of the time in Coalinga. Maybe they spend the first 2 hours every day over there and then come here, and another group spend the last 2 hours. Do a career technical program of some kind. It's something we're looking at. And in the future, if Huron ever grew, they might go to high school, but not today.
So, Mr. Canada, that's you, the last question here. But again, we would like to have a vote. The question is, are you prepared to represent the library as part of the library board as well? And are you a current library card holder? And that question goes to all three of you. You have a library card currently, don't you?
Want to see the card?
I went in my purse.
Okay.
What's the question?
Are you, how prepared are you to represent the library board as well as the school?
Well, I have a library card. I encourage my kids to have a library card. Grandchildren have library cards. When the library was looking to remodel, I went down and gave input. I'm a believer that books are a great escape from the real world. And I think we need that. The library opens their doors to our children after school that have no place to be. They have a home, a safe place, a place where they can feel comfortable and lose themselves in a book, which is a wonderful, safe place.
So now it's time for our closing statements. You'll have 1 minute.
Again, thank you for coming tonight and listening to us. You can see there's not a big difference between any of us. We're all here to support kids and continue their education and keep improving it. Our schools are doing well. They always can do better. We're always looking for new ideas. Unfortunately, like Mr. Zimmerman said, we're constantly getting directives from the state saying, we'll do this, whether we want to do it or not. And we're not given a choice. And that's one of the biggest problems in education. It seemed like when I was teaching, every couple of years, oh, no, you got to do it this way. No, that doesn't work. No, now we'll go this way. And I think that's one of our biggest problems in education today is the state directives. Thank you.
I believe our schools are the backbone of our community. They produce our leaders for tomorrow and active citizens. I envision a district where communication is the top priority. I believe that all of us involved in the schools want our children and our students to succeed. We need to promote programs that are both focused on the future and educationally sound. We must be certain that we always operate in the best interest of our students. My daughters went through Coalinga schools, and both are now teachers. I have grandchildren attending school, and I've always been a parent volunteer. Now I'm a grandparent volunteer. As I move into retirement, I see this as my next big step, and I would ask all of you to please go to the polls and vote for me. And if you don't, please vote.
Right now, I am negotiating with our superintendent and the high school principal to allow me to help the district with their fitness program. We built that wonderful weight room down there, and it's not even being utilized for what it was intended. I envision the health of every student, I mean all the students, not just the athletes, every one of them being better and being coached and taught in there, and we're not doing that. And so I'm going to go down there, whether I get elected or not, it doesn't matter. They're not asking me to join the golf tour anymore, so I'm going to have plenty of time on my hands. And I'm going to go down there and volunteer to teach fitness lab. I did that at this college. When a student feels better about themselves, they learn better. They just do. They want to get up in the morning, go to school, pay attention. When you don't, when you're in terrible condition, you're not going to pay that strict attention that you need to. Anyways, I got 5 seconds left. Thank you for listening to us, and have a good evening.
You guys know me as Manny Ramirez or Coach Manny. I've been in Coalinga, Huron, 38 years. Graduated here. Went to school here. I played sports here all my life. I played college football in '99 and got our first ring. I'm running for Huron and Coalinga Park District. Reason why? Blame Mr. DeLong, because he said one day you'll run for something. So here I am. I want to do a lot of things for this community. As a coach, football coach right now for our youth Oilers. I'm a baseball coach as well. Soccer, I volunteer as much as I can. But I've seen a lot of our facilities are basically not ready. It's kind of a shame that we have that complex, that we have to go back in there and redo it. I believe in the term where I was working is do it right or not at all, right? We have a lot of youth here that needs to be involved in sports, and a lot of them don't do it because we don't have the facilities for it. I just want to know, like, any questions and suggestions, and I'm willing to work with the board. I want to work with the city, with the school, with any organization that is in this town that makes this community great. I love this town, and I'm not going to leave, and I'm going to be here until the end. So I want to make a difference. I want to really make a difference. As a coach, I see these faces that they have certain things that nothing to do because we don't have a conference, but I know it's running, and I'm going to get into it. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Conference Director, State Podium. Funny you asked if we have any questions because you get all the questions. But there are only a couple here. And thank you for being here and being in the spotlight like this. The first is, do you support bringing back a rec center for youth?
Yes, I do. The youth is our future. You understand? If we have our youth stuck at home or wandering the streets, what's their job going to be in 20, 10, 20, 30 years, right? I support as much facilities that are not going to waste money, that are going to bring money and encourage our youth and everybody in this community. So hopefully I answered that correctly for you guys.
Thank you. And then the next question is, what are your top 3 priorities as a member of the Parks and Rec Board?
One of our focus is, again, the youth. That complex really needs to be done. I think in the past, there's been so much fighting and nothing being done with that complex. 2 soccer fields there. I played soccer myself until last year when I had actually a seizure at the soccer field. Unfortunately, that ended my sporting, but I've been coaching. I think, actually, that's a good question, because if we could get Carl, he's an engineer, maybe help us out a little bit here. Because I know as a soccer field there, I played in those soccer fields, and we've been struggling to get a place to play soccer. We've been kicked out of the school for a soccer game. We've been kicked out basically throughout the area of Coalinga. And now we don't have, nowhere to play. Did you guys know we actually had 5 adult soccer teams here? 5. From ages from 16 to 41 years old. 5 teams. That's 5 teams. Now that we have AYSO going and they're traveling, guess what's gonna happen when the towns from out of town come into our town and say, you guys don't got nothing. I've been a coach for baseball for over 8 years.
30 seconds.
And we still have 1 baseball field. And I hope we get this going, dramatically quick.
Thank you. Well, that's it for you. If you have any last words you would like to say,
I would really, really appreciate if you guys voted for me. I have one thing is, I'm going to show it so you can know. Because if I don't show what I'm doing at the department, nobody's going to trust me. And like I said, I really want you guys to trust me. And like I said, I want to work with the city. I want to work with the school. I want to work with every program there is right here. I want the rec to work with the sports organizations and build up our youth and make them stay here and work here and make our community great again like it used to be. Thank you.